Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, April 4th, 2024. I am Jennifer Richardson with the detail. The Criminal Code Amendment Bill was passed in Parliament today, which will see increases in penalties for sexual offences. One such increase is Clause 2, Section 125(1), intercourse with a girl under 15 years. The penalty has increased from a maximum of 5 years to 15 years in prison. Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves, who brought the bill to Parliament, noted the significant increase in penalties for the offences.
Remember, intercourse with a girl under 13. No one under 15 can give you consent. It's what is called statutory rape. One under 13 is already one with person under 13 is already life imprisonment. So 13 to 15, currently it's 5, it's being proposed that goes to 15. Of course, honorable members will know that many of these offenses are often compromised or covered up in certain communities, and that is an ongoing issue of education and interface between police and complainants and Ministry of National Mobilization, the counselors, teachers, pastors, and so on and so forth.
In addition, in Section 126(1), intercourse with a defective, the penalties have also increased from 5 to 15 years. With regards to indecent assault in various categories, PM Gonsalves said it will also attract similar penalties.
If on a child under the age of 15, the current imprisonment is 5 years, that will go to 10. In any other case, to imprisonment for 2 years currently, that will go to 5. And of course, instances of indecent assault, as those who practice law and those who live in the real world know that they go from there are different levels. Section 128 is amended by Clause 5. Indecency with a child, imprisonment for 1 year is the current penalty, which is clearly too low, and that will go to 10 years. 129, permitting a girl under the age of 15 to use premises for intercourse, that's permitting the premises to be used. Sex with a girl under 15. Currently, the imprisonment is 14 years if the girl is under the age of 15, or under the age of 13. That will go up 1 year to 15 years. And for 7 years if the girl is off or over the age of 13 but under 15, which say 7 years currently, it will go to 10 years.
A number of amendments were also made to prostitution.
So Clause 7(1), that amends Section 131, causing or encouraging prostitution of a girl under 15. That moves from 7 to 15 years. 8. Amends Clause 131, causing prostitution of a woman. Imprisonment goes from 14 years to 15 years. Clause 9, which amends Section 132(1), detention in a brothel. And I'm just giving the summary of the offenses so that I don't take more time than is necessary, and it could be a little tedious. But the summary will give a snapshot as to what the offense is about. Yes. Clause 9 amends 132(1). Detention in a brothel moves from 14 to 15 years. Clause 10, 133(1). Man living on earnings of prostitution, imprisonment currently for 14 years, goes to 15. Clause 11, which amends Section 134, woman exercising control over prostitute, that moves from 14 to 15 years.
Meanwhile, the persons providing housing for unlawful sex to take place will also be charged. In the second instance, it will attract a maximum of 14 years procuring sex through intimidation, and administering drugs to facilitate intercourse will also see increased penalty.
Any person who applies or administers to or causes to be taken by a woman any drugs, matter or thing with intent to stupefy or overpower her, so as thereby to enable any man to have unlawful sexual intercourse with her, is guilty of an offense and currently liable to 5 years. That will go to 10 years. Section 18, Clause 18, which amends Section 142, incest by a man. The current penalty for that is 14 years. But we thought in the government, and it received support in the select committee across the board, that it will go from 14 years to 20 years. And Clause 19 amends Section 144, incest by a woman, which for some reason was 7 years, while that for the man is 14 years. That also now goes to 20 years.
In his contribution to the debate on the bill, Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, said emphasis should be placed on prevention of these offenses. Dr. Friday said he supports the bill. However, he noted that while it is okay to increase penalties, efforts have to be made to ensure the various sexual offenses do not occur.
There are some crimes, Madam Speaker, for which penalties can't make you whole. And the literature on sexual offenses point very clearly to the fact that this is an area where the penalties may deter, but it can't fix the harm that was done. So our emphasis has to be on preventing the harm from occurring in the first place. That, Madam Speaker, is a cause to which this Parliament must commit itself, and one that you would have the full support of the members of this side of the House.
Dr. Friday alluded to the perception of some that women and girls are to be blamed for certain sexual offenses. This mindset, he said, has to be wiped out totally.
The attitudes by what you would call, grown men towards young girls. The suggestion that somehow they bring it upon themselves because they're acting older than they should. We have to let it be known, Madam Speaker, that sort of thinking that's for under the rock. That is simply not acceptable in this day and age. So, the overall problems, the broader problems, societal problems, which will not be addressed here today. And I'm not blaming the act, I'm just simply saying that we are committed to having that process not just started and proceeded, but accelerated.
The opposition leader would also like to see timely prosecution of sexual offenses addressed.
What I hear is that many of these cases take too long. 4 to 5 years is too long, and that too needs to be addressed to see how that process can be accelerated so that persons who are culpable, that they are held accountable, and that they pay whatever the law prescribes, and that the resources are allocated to help the victims to, as much as possible, heal. That, Madam Speaker, is something that we must accelerate that process as well.
The Child Development Division in the Ministry of National Mobilization, Social Development, the Family, Gender Affairs, Youth, Housing and Informal Settlement today hosted a news conference to launch activities for Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month 2024. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Mobilization, Marissa Finch-Burke, said while the ministry is pleased to launch the month-long activities, it no longer seeks to pursue just a month of abuse prevention and awareness, as it should be a lifelong campaign.
We should not be resting easy, going to bed at night, knowing that there is yet another child that has become another statistic out there from the hands of an abuser. We have to all be prepared to say no and to stop and put an end to child abuse in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I hope and pray that that too becomes your mantra. Over the years, given the history of the development of child protection services in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we would have had the service being absorbed under what we historically call family affairs services. And it would have meant that within the period when we started to actually account for the number of cases reported, we started approximately in 2004, and between the periods 2004 to approximately 2009, we would have had a working average of approximately 425 cases reported per year, of abuse cases reported. However, there would have been a spike in the number of reports during the periods 2010 to 2013, which accounted primarily for the legislation, the family laws that would have been passed in 2010, which would have been the Child Care and Adoption Act of 2010 and the Status of Children Act of 2011. And due to that high level of sensitization to the public, because we would have had a lot of engagement at the level of the public, it would have caused a sudden increase now in the number of cases reported.
Finchberg said the period 2014 to about 2019 saw a decrease in the number of reported cases of child abuse, which they had to closely examine.
The decrease then moved from the average that went up to approximately 475. It would have caused a reduction now back down to about 350 during those years. Then we started to look into it within the period 2016 to 2019. What is accounting for this difference? We started to recognize something after the hype when it came to the number of cases reported associated with the new legislations. We then started to do a lot of community engagement to understand. It was called our Connecting Families in Communities campaign, called CFCCs. What we recognized was that you started to actually see underreporting of cases of child abuse in the country. So then we had to look at what is causing persons to underreport. And this became evident when we started to engage members of the public at the community level. There would be situations like what's presented in the monologue with regards to sometimes because of the close relationship and the fear factor involved with reporting, or it is not my business, it is your business. So some reasoning around that would have then caused that reduction.